Who would like to raise a question about anything? No, doesn't have to be about what we've been speaking about. Way over there in the corner.
Guru Maharaj, you were talking about the Protestant ethic, work hard and achieve, in one of your earlier classes.
Yeah, for Protestant ethic, that one?
Yes. So, I also tell my children, work hard.
That's good. Prabhupada worked hard.
And then to inculcate this sense that I am not the doer, but Krishna is the one that provides. How do we provide that organically? I mean, I do tell them that you work hard and the result is, Krishna provides what he does, but is there something more to it?
No. It's, the results are not up to you. Here's what Prabhupada said. This is not what your question is, but Prabhupada said, I heard him say, not just think. One thing I can say about myself, I was never lazy. I worked very hard, whatever he did. I mean, there's other things he said, like he was a leader. From his childhood, he was a leader. There were always the other little children, whatever he wanted, they would do because he was a leader. It was just part of his nature. So working hard, then what's the companion of that? But remember, when you work hard, he's gone already. When you work hard, everything's up to Krishna. Doesn't stop us from working hard because everything is up to Krishna. And if it happens in a way that you don't think it's going to happen, don't be surprised because it's up to Krishna, but we still work very hard. Yeah.
Maharaj, I'm curious about your history with deity worship. Was there ever a time where you had deities or did some specific deity worship, or how you went about learning the pujayi, having pujayi training?
I'm having a hard time. Could you turn the speaker so it's pointed towards me so I can hear people better? Now try it again.
Okay. I'm curious about your history with deity worship. Was there ever a time where you had deities or worshipped some deities, or how did you learn?
I did very little. I personally did very little deity worship. And the reason I did very little deity worship is because I was so much involved in book distribution, and the devotees that did that service asked Srila Prabhupada, I didn't, but others asked, should we also add to our book distribution deity worship? And Prabhupada's reply, at least on one occasion, was, these books are your deities. Just worship these books, and that's your deity worship. So, I was very happy with that. In my memory, the only one time I dressed deities on an altar, I never had personal deities that I traveled with or something, was here in Chicago. It was during a period of time when the book distribution party was based in Chicago, and I asked my temple president, can I go join the book distribution party? And he said, okay. I didn't just sneak out the back door. And he said, okay. So I came here, and one of the things that some of the book distribution party, the airport party was called, did was, from time to time, was deity worship. And so someone, without training me, gave me the instruction to worship Little Horn Thai. I didn't know what I was doing. It took a long time. I don't recall what it looked like, but I just remember like I was really uncomfortable not knowing what I was doing, and no training, instruction, or anything. And that was the one time that I dressed deities on an altar. I don't have a whole lot to say about deity worship. Personal experience. Talking about? Submission. Yes, I was. And acceptance, of course.
Yes, and you mentioned.
You're a technology person. You can't turn it.
I don't go there with technology at all. My husband says technology just fails when it comes in my hand. Everything fails when it comes in my hand.
We'll teach you how to turn the microphone. Just look for the nearest teenager and they'll show you. Go ahead.
You also mentioned that when the submission is less, then the previous tendencies come over.
When submission slackens.
Yes. Then the previous tendencies come over and then guna and karma will left. Now I am thinking in my case, which I personally feel is because of the previous tendencies, submission lacks, that is the first thing come, and because of the mind which goes in all the direction, it's so difficult.
Previous involvement in the material energy does not cause lack of submission. That's a misunderstanding. Should I say it again? You know, back there somewhere, I was involved in the material energy in a certain way. Because of my involvement back there some way, my capacity to submit to Krishna is reduced. That's a misunderstanding.
So how can we be sure that yes, my submission is complete?
Complete?
Complete or full?
Oh, you become a pure devotee. Are you ready? That's the step, and then there's symptoms. 3 times in Bhagavad Gita that question is asked in different ways, and there's symptoms. By the symptoms one can know. How does he walk? How does he sit? How does he talk? Those areas. How do we know the symptoms of one who is beyond the modes of nature that never place? So there's symptoms. That's how you can know, by symptoms. And you can, the outside and the inside. Here's a real simple, put your hand in your bead bag and see where your mind goes. That'll tell you whether the full submission is there or not. Okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Srimati Radharani is the topmost of all gopis.
What?
Srimati Radharani
Srimati Radharani.
is the topmost of all gopis.
Could we do something with this sound system? Go ahead, try again.
Srimati Radharani is the topmost of all gopis.
It's real old, echoing.
Topmost of all gopis.
Topmost of all the gopis, great. Okay.
And for her, Krishna is the only goal, right?
For her, Krishna is the only goal.
Right. So, Krishna married so many people, right? He had so many wives.
Yes, he did.
Then why he did not marry Radharani?
So that you could ask that question.
I'm just wondering, he married 16,000 wives, but Radharani is the best, right? Like what did Acharya say about how to understand that relationship?
It's the same question you're asking again. our Gaudiya, that the followers of Lord Chaitanya have the following understanding. They're eternally Shakti and Shaktiman. There's no question of not married or married. They're eternally the internal pleasure potency of the personality of Godhead. Married or not married. So that's the Siddhanta, that's the truth, that's the reality of Radha and Krishna. And then there's Leela. And in the Leela of Radha and Krishna, there's the intensity of love through Parakiya rasa. Parakiya is unwedded love. There's Swakiya rasa, that's wedded love. She's taking notes. Rupa Goswami writes in Lalita Madhava, no, Vidagga Madhava, something that you'll be stunned to hear. Radharani marries Krishna in Dwarka. She's smiling. And how that happens is a big mystery. But you can read Vedanta Madhava and find out. It's a really big mystery. And it's the language of Vedanta Madhava is a little difficult to follow because it's quite esoteric. But I don't recommend that you go there right away, but Shivaram Maharaj has summarized it or written it in his own different English of the description of the pastime that's in Vedanta Madhava in his writings. After Krishna leaves, the gopis are in a state of madness, of separation. And then the whole series of events happen where the gopis go to where Krishna is. It's like details, like, Rukmini is one of the gopis, and Satyabhama is one of the gopis, and Satyabhama is Radharani. But how that happens is far out. Because she wants to marry Krishna, so Krishna accepts. But it's in a mysterious way, in a very different way. But it's Leela. And what Rupa Goswami writes about is not what you find in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's not creative writing. It's not like, hey, I think it'd be nice to write a little story about Radha marries Krishna. So I'll make up a little fairy tale that looks like this. It's Rupa Goswami's realization and revelation. But it happens in Dwarka, it doesn't happen in Vrindavan, because in Vrindavan is this other love, Parakiya rasa. So whether it's in marriage or out of marriage, she's the Ladini potency of Krishna, eternally. And there's Leela of loving exchange of different variety, according to Krishna's happiness. And he loves this happiness, he loves that happiness. And so they both have it. Just like last night, I read from commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that the 16,000 queens that were kidnapped by the robbers was Krishna in disguise as robbers to take those 16,000 queens that wanted to be with Krishna in his mood in Vrindavan, to Goloka, not Gokula. Figure that one out. Krishna reciprocates. I mean, one of the things that I said this morning is one thing we can count on, an expectation we can count on. Krishna is very kind. And he reciprocates with the love of his devotee. May not look like what we think it should look like, because we're just not the scriptwriter. He is. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I don't know how you can be happy with an answer like I just gave you. It's so mysterious. Okay. Okay. Someone else.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. In the Dwarka pastimes of Lord Krishna, there is mention of Lord Krishna going to hunt animals. And in this world where we cruelty-free living and we are trying to live a pure life, how do we see kshatriyas going on hunting? Is that the culture of...
No, it's just Ram or Krishna.
Lord Krishna in Dwarka.
Lord Krishna in Dwarka went hunting.
There is some mention somewhere in the...
Well, I'd like to see the reference before I comment. After Rasa Leela, he went hunting.
No, Maharaj, this is the Dwaraka pastimes, and it is just before that Khandava Vanadama, that one, I think. Krishna and Arjuna go for hunting. And
So this is Mahabharata?
Oh, Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam. Krishna went hunting. I'd have to see the passage. In principle, without knowing the passage, kshatriyas had a responsibility. That responsibility that Krishna was reminding Arjuna of his responsibility. His responsibility is to protect principles of Dharma, and if necessary, to fight Dharma Yuddha according to principles of Dharma. So to practice the skill necessary to use force when necessary to protect Dharma, kshatriyas would have to practice. And they would practice in that way. And they were authorized, my understanding goes like this, they were authorized to practice in this way, going hunting. Now, Prabhupada would sometimes describe that, the historical reference wasn't given, but in some cases at least, the kshatriyas would go into the forest with just a knife. And they would find a tiger and fight with the tiger with a knife to show their prowess and their valor, fighting a tiger with a knife. Of course, I guess sometimes they would lose, but it was part of in the threat of life to be able to still be valorous and be victorious. It was the principle, not just sport and go hunting for deer because that's fun, like sport, but at the risk of one's life, the practice. So that when real life of necessity to stop an aggressor that was armed and whatever was needed, they could do that with skill, without fear. That's my understanding of the principle that was an authorization given to kshatriyas. Not whimsical. Not get a hunting license and go shoot pheasants and deer. during hunting season. Radha. Up front, how many questions? Just one. Okay, speak slowly and clearly now.
Why did Parashuram know that Rama was the same incarnation at first?
Well, he's the personality of Godhead, so how could he not know?
So it's all Katul Leela.
What?
Leela.
Oh, that he had amnesia because of Leela. But he knew. He knew. He knew. But in Leela, he knew, and he's doing what he was doing. In Leela, he knew. He had heard, I mean, this is adding to your question, or response to your question. He had heard that Rama had broken the bow of Lord Shiva. So he had the bow of Vishnu and presented the bow of Vishnu. Since you broke the bow of Lord Shiva, let's see if you can string the bow of Vishnu. And if you can string the bow of Vishnu, then you're worthy of fighting with me. That was the Leela. But your question was different. Did he know that he's the personality of Godhead? As far as I know, he knew. You're satisfied? Behind you.
But you said something in relation to yesterday. Some cowherds, after Dwarka was sunk, some cowherds stole the women of Dwarka.
What happened?
Some robbers stole the wives of
Yes.
Krishna.
You want to hear some more about that?
My question was, what about the because somewhere I read that the 8 principal queens entered the fire.
Yes.
And then, why did the other 16,000 wives enter?
What happened to the 100?
No, 16,000. Because the 8 principal queens entered the funeral pyre.
There's 8 principal queens, and there's 16,108.
Yeah.
So you want to know what happened to the 16,100?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, why did they enter the fire along with the other 8?
No, well, that's a detail, it's a Mahabharat detail, and I'm not a Mahabharat scholar. But my understanding is, yes, the age and the 16,000 means the 16,100 were the ones taken by Arjuna to go back under the protection of the kings in Hastinapur, and on the way there was an ambush. And the wealth was stolen, but they were also kidnapped. And so that's the little section we heard. How did that happen? Krishna made some arrangement because they wanted to be, and experience the love of the resident of Vrindavan. So Krishna made the arrangement to fulfill that desire of theirs, so they could experience. He took them to Goloka to experience the residents of Vrindavan, the gopis, love for Krishna in Vrindavan, because they wanted to.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just I wanted to give the reference to what Adbhut Krishna Prabhu was asking. So it was in the context of Narad Muni visiting the quarters of Dwarka and then finding out Krishna engaged in varieties of activities. And the context in which it comes is that, I'm just reading it, that in another place, he was on a hunting expedition, mounted on his Sindhi horse and
Mounted on his
Sindhi horse.
Sindhi.
Sindhi.
Sindhi. The horse from Sind.
And accompanied by the most heroic of the Yadus, he was killing animals meant for offering in sacrifice. So that part is also there. It was explicitly mentioned that he was killing animals meant for offering in sacrifice.
Well, I am not clear about that because the offering of animals in sacrifice is not already killed. So I would be interested to see the commentary that's been translated this way before commenting further.
Part of it.
So in the front up here, Mataji, raise your hand.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. How appropriate is it to make an offering to Krishna when we're cooking in utensils which have been used for meat or something else?
It's not appropriate. No. Emergency is one thing and appropriate is another thing. Okay? And there's no requirement on Krishna's part to accept such an offering either. But appropriate is not appropriate.
When I'm thinking of a particular situation, while I'm working in a school in a scenario when I'm cooking for
Bring your own pots. That's my recommendation.
well, it's not being cooked per se, but it's being washed in an area where other things are being washed.
Get practical. Bring your own pots and wash them at home. That's my advice. Now you can do something different, but that would be my advice. And people may understand it, not understand it, they may like it, they may not like it. You want to teach Krishna, not the people that, may not like it. You just say, just tolerate me. I like to do things like this. Depends on the people, but whatever you need to say, keep the standard. Because it's for Krishna. Now, cleaning in a place where other things are clean that are not, where need-to-be products and other things are used. That's not, it's not the same as cooking in a meat pot. It's not nice either. So just take it home, wash it at home. Is that all right?
I wanted to ask, what was your mode when you first met Prabhupada? Like, that story? I'm wondering,
The first time I met Prabhupada was at university, and I didn't know who he was.
What were you thinking?
What? Should what?
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking?
Curiosity. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know him. I was just curious. I entered into a room that was about this size or bigger, wider and this long. It was a hall. And there was a stage on one side of the hall, and there was a crowd of people. And Prabhupada was on the stage with a spotlight, with Allen Ginsberg and Prabhupada singing, chanting. I didn't know who that. I recognized Allen Ginsberg from photos. I didn't know who Prabhupada was from anybody. But I was attracted by the chanting. I didn't know what it was at the first time I heard chanting. That was attractive. And Didn't know exactly what to make of it.
How old are you?
I was probably 20 years old.
Where was it?
Where? State University of New York, in Buffalo.
And what were you studying?
I was studying, my major was biochemistry, and it was on a pre-med track. But there's no such thing as pre-med, you just have declared major.
So when did you decide to leave?
What did I sign?
And when did you decide to leave? And
I just did a timeout, and it became a long timeout. Leave of absence. Leave of absence. With the idea that later I can resume, and at a later point in time I considered should I resume, and I decided I really liked what I was doing. And I could resume later, but I like what I'm doing. And etc. There's other reasons why I decided to continue.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, years ago I heard that if you live in with a family of meat eaters.
If you do what?
Years ago I heard that if you were living in a family of meat eaters and your dishes got contaminated with meat, you can wash it with cow dung and it become purified, fit for savage.
That sounds like Diana.
That is what some devotees said.
I never heard that one. And it's true that cow dung has the gift of making things contaminated purified. Still, I wouldn't want to take a pot that's been washed in cow dung and use that to make it cook an offering to Krishna. I wouldn't want to do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Gayana Lord.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. If it is not possible, especially at workplace, when you are eating lunch, so is it detrimental to one sadhana while eating the meat eaters?
Is it possible to do sadhana and work?
Is it detrimental to our own sadhana to eat with the meat eaters?
No.
Like if they are eating,
You don't eat what they eat, but if you eat with them, you're okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Alright. And in continuation of the Mataji's question is, were you ever chastised by Srila Prabhupada in your time? Never. That's very good. How did
I didn't have so much interaction. I wasn't praised either. I didn't have that. My relationship was more as a book distributor. So we were kind of over there doing our book distribution. I was happy knowing that that's something that Prabhupada wanted, and that was the connection, doing something that Prabhupada wanted. I mean, that isn't all that I did, but that was, a primary service, or taking responsibility for organizing book distribution. So, that was my life during Prabhupada's time. And I became a temple president during Prabhupada's life. And, I did that in service. But, there wasn't like a direct, I never wrote a letter, I never received a letter, I never had interaction like many of the devotees here have interaction with their spiritual masters. It was in an audience with interaction like that, or morning walk or something like that, or a class.
How was there any protest within your family when you joined the movement, started the movement? Like your parents, brothers, sisters?
To keep it simple, my parents went through 4 stages when I became a devotee. The first stage was, he's young, he'll get over it. Let it go. And then when I didn't get over it, the next phase was, we better check out what he's into.
Okay.
So they got some books and started reading the books and came to the conclusion, they didn't tell me this, I just came to know this after. They came to the conclusion that this is a bona fide, legitimate, traditional practice. It's not, fly-by-night, something or other. So that was phase 2. Phase 3 was, we know that this makes you happy and that makes us happy. But the subtext is, if you want to make us happy, continue your education, get a degree, get married, have children so we have grandchildren, and then it will make us happy. But that wasn't what was said, it was just subtext. You're happy, that makes us happy. It was liberal American mindset. And then the 4th stage was, they were proud of me. They were proud of me in 2 ways. The lesser way was, you're living by your convictions, and it's not easy to live by your convictions, but that's the kind of person you are. We're proud of you. And that was 2nd. And 1st was, you become a leader in this organization, we're proud of you.
So overall you were supported?
Huh?
Overall you were supported?
Overall, they let me go. There was that much freedom. My father went with me to the draft board to have my classification changed from 1A to whatever it was. We don't want you. Because I went in a dhoti and shaved head and tilak with my father to the draft board because I was drafted to go to Vietnam. 1A classification means get your uniform, get in the plane, go over there. So it got changed. My father accompanied me to the draft board. So, they were fully in knowledge of what I was doing, not exactly why I was doing what I was doing, but I was living by my convictions. That was, the 3rd phase.
How do you react to your pre-med time, days, friends and colleagues in those days? You had some friends in those days?
I couldn't understand. Say it again.
How do you react, meet with your friends, colleagues in your pre-med days when you were in a college?
The pre-med days, what was that like?
Yes, when you were pre-med that you were in college that time.
Well,
do you meet them?
I'll keep it real short. I came to know afterwards they weren't really friends. I thought they were friends, but when I made the step to becoming a devotee of Krishna, I wasn't fun anymore. The friendship was, you satisfy my expectations. And when I no longer satisfied their expectations, the friendship was over. The contract was broken from my side. I was no longer, fun. Because I was no longer interested in stuff that we would do as friends. They weren't really friends.
So you don't meet them, any one of them?
They came to see me with a smile and walked away and never saw them again. Because they saw, what my convictions were. Not just how I was dressed, but they saw what my convictions were. And it's just like, you're not fun anymore. They didn't say that. The friendship was an expectation, and they came to see me, and, some. And that's it. Silence.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
But, then I came to know what real friendship is. And it's not those other things.
Maharaj, this is exactly what happened to, Maharishi Ganga and myself.
I know.
People just dropped us, they just
You're
left
not
us.
fun anymore.
Exactly. And I don't mind doing it, I'm missing them, but sometimes we do feel that, not that we needed to put our feet in two boats, but we do feel, sometimes lonely and alone. I don't know. Is that something that is...
Well, frankly, it's due to, a limitation or a paucity or something like that of connectedness with Krishna. Because when you're connected to Krishna, you're not alone. And there are devotees that devotee means one who reminds you of Krishna. A friend is one who reminds you of Krishna. So you make that Krishna connection stronger, and you'll feel, personalities are certainly different. And there's the whole range of, I prefer this type of personality to that type of personality. That's our psychophysical nature. That's natural. But the connectedness to Krishna does not leave you in a position where you don't have real friends. But part of accepting a real relationship, in any case, is we recognize differences and we honor those differences, and where the connection is with the essence, not the differences or the psychophysical natures match up. So I belong to this group because our psychophysical natures match up. But over there's another psychophysical nature, and I relate really fantastically with those that have another psychophysical nature because I like the Krishna consciousness. And it's, the psychophysical nature is different than mine, and that's just fine. In fact, it's delightful. In Prabhupada's words, it'd be boring if it was all the same. He gives the example of a vase with flowers of the same color, same fragrance, no variety. Boring. Compared to a vase that has different species, different colors, different fragrances, and some green, and some this and that. And that's a beautiful vase. So diversity is beautiful. So the back to your question, that sometimes feeling alone has to do with, maybe you miss that which you left behind, those kinds of activities, at least, the sense of camaraderie, doing the thing with those people that you no longer have an interest to do, but that sense of camaraderie, the human side of each of us, make that connection with persons with diversity. They don't have to be the same psychophysical nature as both of you. That there's a core Krishna consciousness that you relate with. And so the exchange is certainly going to look different, and it's going to feel different. But the sense of connectedness is on that platform, and that's nourishing and very satisfying. And so it doesn't have to be abundance, it has to be genuine. Right next to you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This is regarding Ravana and Kumbhakarna is described as Jaya and Vijaya came in that.
Can you move the microphone speaker a little bit so I can hear better? Thanks. Yeah, go ahead, try again.
So, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, where Jaya and Vijaya came down, also Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So I heard from one of your lectures in Dandakaranya lectures You mentioned that every time Lord Ram descends, it need not be Jaya and Vijaya coming as Ravana and Bhagarna. They can be.
That's what our acharyas teach, yes.
So is it that some other devotees from spiritual world or it could be demons?
No. Prabhupada is very clear about it. That's an exception, and the rule is there actually means. Different jivas taking that function. Not someone from the spiritual world descending other than Jai and Jai. The rule is they're actual demons, not descending. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
What was the question?
The question? You tell him. Not now. Tell me.
Guru Maharaj, with reference to one of the three messages you sent for chanting.
One of the three what?
Three messages you sent for chanting, the 64 rounds. When the holy name enters the inner ear, the enmity or enviousness of the other senses gets settled.
I didn't use the word inner ear because that's a biological term. The spiritual ear.
Spiritual ear.
Okay.
So, and in the same thing, there is a word for seat of consciousness. So, my question is, the Hridaya, the seat of consciousness, and soul, are all this synonymous?
Yes and no. Yeah, the no is Prabhupada's expression. The soul is both conscious and consciousness. Means there's two things. So it's both, but it's two things. That's the no. Okay? So just like a lamp is luminous and illuminates things in the room. So the soul is conscious, like luminous, and it lights up things in the room. Consciousness spreads out from the soul into the world around us through the senses. That's consciousness. So the same thing with two things. So yes and no. Okay, we'll come back to over there. Put your hand in.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. If there is one advice you would like to give us,
I've been doing a whole bunch of
in relation to ISKCON.
In relation with this time.
Yeah. What would that be?
Prabhupada. It's Prabhupada's statement in Hawaii to devotees that were troubled with ISKCON. Prabhupada said, you love me, you love ISKCON. No, Prabhupada is perfect and ISKCON's not perfect, to say the least. But our love for Prabhupada is manifested by accepting that which is by intention to represent him. And we're not transparent representatives yet in ISKCON or any individual. To that extent, we're non-transparent representatives of the founder Acharya of ISKCON. But we don't throw, the baby out with the bathwater. The continuation of myself trying to become purified and match that which Srila Prabhupada wanted me to be, so that I can be a proper representative of ISKCON, at least one entity, or at least that's something that's I'm responsible for. less than perfect. Or a saying that Prabhupada would sometimes refer to, some saying about England, I forget how it goes, but with all thy faults I love thee, something like that. So because back to her question about, what was my thought process when meeting Prabhupada and things like that. A very clear realization for a young man that had an allergy to being part of something organized. What to speak of organized religion? I was allergic to it. I felt badly about such things. But I became part of ISKCON. I joined in an ashram because I understood, alone, what can I accomplish? But Prabhupada's arrangement was not that I accomplish alone, but in conjunction with others, so much more can be accomplished. Now, there's so much more that can be accomplished, if misguided, can be more damaging than beneficial. So I as an individual have to be careful that I'm staying the course of what Prabhupada wanted. I'm not responsible for what everyone does. That's too much. Not my job assignment. My job assignment is to be an example of what Prabhupada wanted. And that way make ISKCON what Prabhupada wanted, to my capacity.
Thank you, Maharaj. Another question, just out of curiosity. Srila Prabhupada used to go to morning walk every morning, and so he is giving association to his disciples, he's answering their questions, he's giving them knowledge, and at the same time he has beads in his hands and he's chanting, and then when he answers the question, he stops chanting and he answers the question or takes the comment. My question is that part of his daily chanting, or is just extra chanting he's doing?
Don't imitate. It wasn't part of his daily chanting, it was just chanting. Kirtaniya Sadhari, that's what he was doing.
Thank you, Maharaj.
No, right in front.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have two questions. One is from yesterday's class related to Krishna's pastimes. You mentioned in yesterday's class about how Krishna, this hunter mistook the foot of Krishna for the base of the day and he shot an arrow. So when you see the incarnations of Lord in different yugas, especially Lord Rama's and Lord Chaitanya's, we see that their advent back to the spiritual world is that they just disappear without. But in the case of Krishna, we see him undergoing this kind of thing. So, what is the exact reason behind
this? Exact reason. This will. That's the exact reason. Next question.
This is a question related to the mode of passion. The dictionary definition of passion, it says that it is the desire to do something at a very greater extent.
Desire to achieve something. Get a result. That's passion.
So my question is the mode of passion there in the spiritual world?
I beg your pardon?
Is the mode of passion there in the spiritual world?
Of course not. Next question. Back there.
Alright, this is in relation to the lecture yesterday evening. So, from Bhagavan we understand that when Krishna, Duryodhana and Arjuna both came, Krishna gave himself to Arjuna and his armies to Duryodhana. And also we understand from Mahabharata that at the end of the war there were only very few people left.
Yes.
So I'm trying to understand this 540 million of Yadus. Did they not participate in the Mahabharata war or wait?
What was the question? Why so many? How is it possible? Krishna had descendants. And his associates had their descendants. And they add up the number, and that's what the number is.
But did they not participate in the Mahabharata war?
I don't know. Obviously not, because of the ones, those that didn't come back. They were prolific in producing praja, apparently, because that's a lot of adults. Because from the time of the Kurukshetra battle, it's only 38 years. Excuse me, 36 years. That's not a lot of time to have multiple generations. I don't know how to do the math for you. But they didn't go to Kurukshetra.
Thank you very much.
It's 3 minutes to go. Is Amara here? No, Amara. Is she ready with her skit? Somebody should find her because she's due in 3 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, how long have you been in, with like the Krishna consciousness?
Me?
Yeah.
How many lifetimes?
How many years?
More than 50. Working on 51.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Radha Chaitanya, I see your hand. Put your hand down. Yes. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Where's Amara? Okay. What? Radha. We'll do Radha Chaitanya and Radha, and then we'll see what happens with Amara. Okay, you want to use deferring. Thank you for your microphone service, by the way.
Is chocolate accepted by Krishna?
Is what? Why do you ask that question?
Because I see so many devotees including me eating chocolate.
Because you see some devotees eating chocolate.
And including me.
And?
Including me.
Including you. I'm looking at your father. This is a guru response to a tough question. Go ahead, Paramarupa. Can we take the microphone to Paramarupa? Raise your hand, Paramarupa.
So there were two things that were noticeable when we visited India. Actually, pretty much any of the Govindas that we have been to, they were serving chocolate, and then when the question was asked, somebody responded that GBC recently approved eating chocolates or something like that. I don't know what is the context of that, but that was
In the second?
Yes, the 2 points I'm making is that first is that pretty much every
Govinda Darshan and serves chocolate. The second point is?
The second point is that somebody, when we inquired what's going on, then
Why?
they responded that the GBC approved.
Do you want to know whether I eat chocolate, or you want to know whether Krishna eats? Krishna. Well, I would eat something that Krishna wouldn't eat. And it's a controversy. So the history behind the GBC set is Australia, Esplanade, has a habit of bringing hot potatoes to the GBC. And so they brought that one, chocolate or no chocolate. And so there was this and that and the other thing and the other thing, and the GBC passed a resolution after investigating, saying no chocolate. And then there were some people on the other side of the fence, the other side of the issue, that said this and that and the other thing. And then it was concluded, really the GBC should not be deciding such things about whether you eat chocolate or not eat chocolate. So they withdrew the resolution. Not like it's okay, but just like, this is not territory that's our mandate. The GBC's mandate is to arbitrate about chocolate or no chocolate. That was the conversation at the GBC table at the time, and that's my understanding of what the GBC decided. It wasn't like it's okay, they just withdrew the whole proposal, the resolution. Which is kind of like abdicating responsibility, but that's what they decided to do. And because it's not a mandate to arbitrate such things and get into such things. Now, so that is one of those issues. It's not quite like female Diksha Guru topic. That's far more higher level than chocolate. But in the female Diksha Guru topic, there's people that say this, and the people that say that. And the vote was going 50-50 every year. Literally 50-50 every year. Some people on this side, some people on that side. Saying for various reasons this side and that side. And the chocolate issue is kind of one of those. Only from my vantage point, the preponderance of what Prabhupada said was over here. And there were some real thin examples of over on this side. And because some people felt, well, he said this as well as that, you have to allow it. So some people hold that view. Now, her question specifically is, does Krishna eat chocolate? That's your question, no? My understanding is we know what Krishna would like based upon our disciplic succession, and particularly our founder Acharya, representative of the disciplic succession. And my understanding is that Prabhupada didn't approve. Which tells me that Krishna doesn't accept it, which is what your question is. Because he would approve of Krishna accepts it. It's not the same, but it's something like what Raja Bihari calls pizza of the forest. You heard that one before? Right? There's people that say you should only offer to Krishna stuff that we know that Krishna has accepted. And of course. And then there's people over here that say, well, wait a minute. If the ingredients are sattvic ingredients and they're prepared in a sattvic way, in a clean kitchen, and clean consciousness, like pizza, not just from the store, but devotees prepare pizza in Krishna consciousness and offer that to Krishna. Krishna accepts it. So we're going to have a pizza festival or a pizza party with prasadam offered, pizza prasadam offered to Krishna. And there's some people say this and some people say that. So that's another way of saying there's the conservative, that's the Pakora group, and there's the pizza, that's the liberal group. And in the world there's liberals and the conservatives and there's moderates. And there's some people that are just scratching their heads and they don't even know what they are. So, My position is better to err on the side of caution. You heard that expression before? If you're going to make a mistake, rather than be on the liberal side and you get your fingers chopped, be on the conservative side, you just don't go there. Err on the side of caution. Like Istaghosti. And so, does this have beans and grains in it or not? You don't know. Do without it. That's the err on the side of caution. If you were to offer me some chocolate, I would say no thank you. What do you think? No, that's me. And I'm not going to fault someone that says, on the other side. There's, without going into it, there's restaurants in India that say, what they say. We attended a gathering here in Chicago, where it was something or other. And the person that was the host of the something or other, they served chocolate ice cream and chocolate cake, with chocolate icing. And I didn't make a big deal about it. I could, there was no need. But it's not prasad, I'm not going to take it. So your question is the right question. Does Krishna accept it if you offer it to him? And so I'm saying no. But that's me. Based upon what I understand, the preponderance of Prabhupada's response to the question. No, you're a little girl and you're going to become a big girl, you're going to become an adult someday, Krishna's mercy, and you're going to make decisions. And if you're just curious about the taste of chocolate, you're going to go taste it because you're curious. And if you want to be careful and err on the side of caution, you won't. But that's a choice you're going to make, and I'm making my choice. Okay. Is Amara here? Where is she? Are you ready? Yes. Are you sure? Because we're already 7 minutes into your time zone.
Maharaj, our time was 12:45.
12:45?
Yeah. But we are ready, Maharaj. We can start.
Is that what the schedule says? 12:45?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah? Oh.
Yeah, but we are ready, Maharaj.
I'm ready.
Yes.
If you're ready, we're ready. You have a team or it's just you?
No, team is there, Maharaj.
Okay. Do we have a microphone? Do you need a microphone? Or you have loud?
No, Maharaj. We will just use our voice instead.
So where are you going to do this? Where do you want?
On your right side.
Over here? Where
Yes.
that camera is?
Yeah.
The show, you want to move the camera?
Yeah. We can use this whole space, Maharaj.
How's it going in the kitchen? Lunch ready? Can somebody that lives here, Rati's going to find out if lunch is ready.